Okay, thank you all for coming to this breakout session. My name is Joanne Martonic. I'm our Senior Manager of Stakeholder Marketing and Communications. If you are in this room, you are here for the session Maryland and DC's work to get more women on the water. If you are looking for the Reaching Texas Boats via text message presentation, you gotta go back to the general session. So for this presentation, we're going to hear from two speakers. We'll first hear from Letha Grimes, Natural Resources Biologist with the Maryland Department of Natural Resources. Letha has worked with the Maryland Department of Natural Resources Fishing Boating Services for 37 years. She provides outreach and angler education, utilizing the Mobile First Catch Centers and Fish and Streams Ecology training for the Envirothon and Master Naturalist programs. Letha is also the co-coordinator of the Maryland Becoming an Outdoors Woman program. The BOW offers hunting, shooting, fishing, and outdoor skill workshops to nearly 200 women every year. We will then hear from Teresa Rodriguez with the DC Department of Energy and Environment. She is the Wildlife Management Branch Chief. Her responsibilities include leading a team of biologists, providing wildlife research and aquatic resources education programs at their Aquatic Resources Education Center. So we'll first hear from Letha. Thank you.
Thank you. Like she said, we're going to talk a little bit about what Maryland provides to get women out on the water fishing and boating. Prior to getting this first Catch Mobile Fish Center, most of the work that we did was targeting youth. So the last, probably since 2022, we've been focusing more on adult fishing, mostly women. So one of our first events that we did in May of 2023 was Welcome to Fishing and Boating. This was through the RBFF grant to run the program. It was a 2-day event. We held it at Sandy Point State Park. Donna Morrow, who is a co-worker over in boating, was the one responsible for getting this grant put together, and I will say she did most of the work. I just showed up with the fishing trailer and did the fun stuff. But what we planned throughout the 2 days were events, Women at the Wheel, which allowed the women to do the hands-on boat handling, and we did Ladies Let's Fish. And we had multiple exhibitors and seminars running throughout the 2-day program. We were able to get some nice giveaways, the boat bags, t-shirts for everybody who participated. This was a free event. And our marketing was mostly our partners' social media events. We did not do any radio or TV, but we did some magazine. So our goals were obviously to increase participation in the boating and fishing by building skills and to provide hands-on training in both boating and fishing. So these were the partnerships that mostly the partners were on the boating side. That was the most expensive part of trying to get this done, was to have boats there so that the women could actually do the hands-on demonstration. So we were able to get a good number of boats through the Annapolis School of Seamanship. We had natural resource police officers there as well. So the Women at the Wheel, like I said, was mostly just a lot of demonstrations on safety, proper use of wearing your PFD, and some trailering training, and then they got to go out on the water. And throughout the day, there were fishing and boating exhibitors. So the Ladies Let's Fish, we did probably 3 to 4 events throughout the day, hour-long, just doing the basic fishing skills training, fish ID, habitat, tackle selection on what they were going to be catching there at that particular state park, how to rig a reel, basic skills, and then once they went through that, they were able to go out onto a boat and use those skills that they learned and go fishing. We had anglers and some anglers come out and give fishing seminars throughout the day as well. So our results, because this was open to both women, we can't discriminate against men. We did have some co-ed on the water. We had 18 women participate in the Women at the Wheel. 37 women went through the basic fishing, and 61 signed up for the boat. I will say we had a little glitch in our registration for the fishing events. We said we could take 20 to 25 women at a time. The registration was done through one of our partnering groups. And once they reached the 25 for the first session, it cut off all registration. So we had to pivot really quick and try and figure it out and open it up. So we did take some walk-ins. So that was one of the issues that we had at that event. So our post feedback, as you can see, we had some pretty good feedback. 83% felt that they increased their knowledge and confidence to go fishing again, or mostly go fishing alone. And the highest one was the 92% felt confident in their skills and ability after taking the on-water boat handling instruction. So from there, we got a lot of people telling us that day, when are you going to do the next one? When are you going to do the next one? This was so much fun. We want to, do more. So we had some leftover swag. So Donna and I said, okay, let's go ahead and let's figure out how we can do these Women on the Water events. So in summer of 2023, we kind of at the last minute decided to do one. So it wasn't planned. We used the leftover promotional items. And this time, instead of a weekend, we just did a one-day event. We decided that we were going to do a Thursday evening, a 3 to 7. And it was a nice time. One of our issues that we have is when you do these free events, people sign up, they don't show up. We really would love how to figure out how to get around that. So with that event, I think we had 11 ladies show up. We did not have boats at this event, so Donna did a presentation on how to get into boating, gave them a lot of material to take home. So in 2024, we planned 2 events. Donna and I both decided we hated the summer because we don't like the heat. So we did a spring and the fall. So we planned these events the same way on a weekday. We did another Thursday. We went to a local state park. Our Office of Outdoor Recreation, I think 2 years ago, funded these nice kayaks. So we take advantage of that. So we went and rigged up the kayaks with the rod holders. So they go through the basic fishing, they do a basic kayak lesson, and then they can go out on the water and go fishing. So our post feedback from those events, 80% expect to take a boating class within 12 months. And by the time we put the survey out, 80% of the women had already gone fishing. So I think that's great. Another program that we run for women is the Becoming an Outdoors Woman, which we hold weekend events. It's mostly outdoor, hunting, fishing, and other related activities. But we do have fishing related classes. We offer fly fishing and fly tying. We offer the basic fishing. And one of the other ones that we do is a Let's Go Fishing. Once you've went through the basic fishing or the fly fishing, you can do the Let's Go Fishing. They go out, they fish on their own for about an hour. We hope that they catch something so that we can teach them how to fillet it. But I usually have to bring fish along so that they have something to fillet, because you can't always guarantee. So we try to bring trout from our local hatchery, catfish, and some sunfish. So they fillet, and then we learn how to cook it. We also do what's called Beyond Bow workshops. These are our one-day workshops. We do a rock fishing 101. We bring in our striped bass biologists to do a 1-hour presentation to talk about the biology of striped bass, our regulations, the need for the regulations, and things like that, and then the ladies go out and fish. Because of the striped bass, it's only a 1-fish limit now. This year we decided we're going to do a blue catfish, invasive blue catfish trip. And that's already planned for April. So we'll have our invasive fishes program manager come out and give a talk to the ladies prior to going fishing. We also do family days. And with our family days, we try to incorporate a fishing activity with those. It's usually fishing, camping, and outdoor cooking, or fishing, outdoor cooking, and archery. So there's always fishing. So some of the things that we've learned for BOW, oh, my timer's not, am I out of time, or did it just never started? I'm like, 0, I got lots of time, all right. So what we've learned with BOW, participants would recommend the program, and they do. We get lots of return participation, positive attitude toward hunting and fishing, and we found that there's been an increase in the sale of hunting and fishing licenses to women over the 30 years since we've been running this program. Some of the reasons that women participate in these programs, the highest is to improve their skills or learn new skills. That's roughly 40%. And the next highest, 24%, is they want to be able to do these events with other like-minded individuals. So taking that away with the becoming an outdoors woman, it does provide a lot of opportunities for women to meet other like-minded individuals. So from there, we also do what's called a Women in the Outdoors, which is WIDO. That's partnering with the National Wild Turkey Federation. When we first started BOW, they were one of our major sponsors, but then they kind of went out on their own and did their own program, which ran for several years, but then it kind of started to fall away. So they reached out to our wildlife R3 coordinator and said, is there any way that you can partner with us to run these programs? It's a one-day program. It was the first year we opened it to 60 ladies. The ladies went through all, I think, 5 or 6 of the stations. So our fishing station, which was called Real Fishing 101, I had 5 one-hour sessions, 5 or 6, and it was just like boom, 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 boom. So we decided the second year, let the ladies sign up for maybe 3 events. So we did 3 events, and they were like 2 hours. So it was a lot better because it allowed the ladies to learn and then have an opportunity to go fishing. The lady there in the pink, that was her first fish she's ever caught. She had never been fishing. And I will say that I don't know, she's not in here, but I had a lady show up at our very first Women at the Wheel, or the Welcome to Fishing and Boating. She was so upset that she did not catch a fish. I stayed out there on that pier with her probably for like 2 hours, and I tried to explain to her, you don't always catch fish. So she came back to our second event, started fishing. She caught nothing. So we had to explain, well, it's very hot, it's summer. So she came to this event, and she said, I took my fishing rod that I bought, I went to my lake, I didn't catch anything, but I'm glad I didn't because I need to know how to take the fish off the hook. So every time a lady would catch a fish at this event, and they were catching them pretty good, we would like, Carol, hurry up, get over here. So she finally was able to take her own fish off the hook. So she comes to all of our events. Another thing that we do, we partner with Angler's Sporting Goods Store. They reached out to us actually and said, hey, we're thinking about doing a ladies' night. So it was right before Christmas. We put social media out there, and it was open to however many, but the first 50 ladies, Shimano was one of the partners, got a swag bag from Shimano. We had women anglers there. We had, just booths set up throughout the store. Coastal Conservation sent a representative, and the ladies got a 15% discount at the end of the evening. So from there, we decided Anglers partnered with us to do a ladies fishing day. So we took 25 ladies out fishing. We had local boat captains come out, and so in the morning, whoever was fishing from the shoreline, we had lunch, and then when they came in for lunch, they switched. So they had the opportunity to fish from the shore and a boat. So our lessons learned, timing considerations, always you have to look at, is it a holiday weekend? Is it schools in, schools out? We found that the weekday really works best for us. Partnerships, I'm all about partnerships. I do not have anybody that works with me or for me, so I'm usually by myself when I go to these events. But I will say over the last 3 years, I've really worked with, the outdoor rec team, our education team with Chelsea. It's really great starting to work together. Our marketing for BOW, we don't really have to do a whole lot of marketing. We filled up our workshop in 8 minutes, 100 participants. We usually fill our Women on the Water within probably 4 hours. But like I said, the registrations, some of the events, what we do now is say, okay, the registration's gonna open on this day at this time, so that they know that if they wanna get in, this is when they need to register, because our programs are pretty popular. So some of our future programs that we have coming up, we have 2 Women on the Water events already scheduled for this year. Our Beyond Bow invasive catfish, Beyond Bow Family Day, I'm working on that. Women on the Water, ? I'm not sure when we're gonna do that. And we have an invasive fishing event with the DC DOEE, and then Snakes on the Dundee, which is an invasive snakehead tournament. I think they're going to include blue cats this year. So this is just within the first 6 months, because I'll be gone July 1. So thank you. If you have any questions, we'll take those later.
Hello, everybody. I'm Teresa Rodriguez, and let me advance the slide here. Hi back there. Can you put up the next one, please? There we are. Okay. So let me go back for a second. I'm here to talk to you about our women's programs, but before I do, I'd like to give you a little bit of background about us. We work for the Department of Energy and Environment. I say we because 2 of the other staff are in the audience. Dylan and Brady, please raise your hand. They run our R3, and that's Dylan. Dylan is the R3 coordinator, and Brady, his brother, believe it or not, runs our angling program, and they are avid anglers, so I wanted to call them out. I'm getting over a cold, so I apologize if I have to drink water during the presentation. But We work predominantly in a national park. We have a building there called the Aquatic Resources Education Center. We call it the AREC for short. And it's an aquarium. We have a lot of local species housed there, as well as an education center. We have dedicated classroom space for field trips. We offer free field trips with transportation, professional development workshops for educators, and fishing events, which is mostly what I'm going to talk about today. I, like Letha, believe in partnerships because we get very little funding, so we need our good friends in DC to help us pull off some of the creative programs we've been able to host. Our pre-K field trips are basically fun days for the students to get out of the school. They come to our center, they'll get a tour, they'll do a classroom activity, and usually we'll focus on aquatic ecosystems and watersheds. We'll try to do an art project that's fish-related, and then sometimes, the lucky ones, if they have longer time, we'll get a boat tour. This is one of our favorite field trips. We partner with Anacostia Riverkeeper, so the kids get to get on a boat and go up or down the river, depending on the tide, and then they'll come back to us and go get a tour of the aquarium and see which fish are living under the water. And that might not sound like a big deal to you, but some of these kids have never been on a boat before, so it's a pretty special field trip for them. We've gotten a lot of positive feedback. We offer professional development to our teachers, since many of them, especially elementary school teachers, have very little science background, so we want to help them as much as possible to continue the learning when they get back in the classroom. And this is the curriculum we use, Project Wild, which is housed at AFWA. Most of you probably are aware of Project Wild, Growing Up Wild and Aquatic Wild, and they've been very well received. And our community angling programs have kind of morphed since COVID. We used to do these big derby-type events a couple times a year, which took a lot of staff time and planning. But after COVID, we were forced basically to do small group activities. Our fishing programs were the only programs the agency did during COVID in 2020 and 2021. And they went so well that we decided to continue in that light. And the first catch trailer we received in 2021 made all the difference, because we could then go to different sections of the city. And now we reach all 4 wards, and we're serving the entire population. We also created a new family sort of fishing activity event called Family Discovery Days. And they're a little bit smaller, maybe 30 people max, and we include a tour of the facility, a fishing activity, and usually a fishy art project. I'm a big fan of art and STEAM, and I try to incorporate it into our lessons, and the biologists have done a great job of jumping on board and doing this and embracing this. This workshop at the bottom 2 pictures, was my favorite. We worked with the Corcoran School of Art, because I don't know how to silk screen, I just love it, but we made fish windsocks, and we sold out very quickly, and it was a wonderful collaborative experience for us, as well as the families. And then you see up on the left is the Goyataku workshop. We do that quite often with people. They really like that. We've got one of those workshops coming up in March. And then we're one of the states doing the fish art contest that Wildlife Forever has. It's a national contest that we would recommend. It's only our 2nd year, so we're trying to figure out how to blast that out a little bit bigger now. And Dylan and Brady have done some lure crafting workshops, which were well attended, and we're planning on continuing in that vein. This is just a picture of one of our first family programs that we had, and what I noticed when I looked at the registration data was that a lot of women were the ones registering their families and friends for our events. So we started to market and target moms groups, women-centered type outdoor program membership organizations, and sending them our flyers, getting them on our listserv, and it's helped us create a little bit more of a targeted listserv for outreach to women. We've also done some programs with special groups, like this was our fishing for the deaf community that we did the last 2 years, and this was not my idea because I don't know sign language and I was a little intimidated, but one of our partners in the Park Service grew up in a family where she was the only hearing person, and so she knew sign language and she knew the community, and she did some outreach to them, and they said they'd love to do a fishing event. So we brought our trailer and our expertise in fishing, and we let them use our equipment, and they hired the interpreters. And the second year we did it, it was expanded to Gallaudet University, and these young men on the bottom right, one of them is the intern that they hired, and they're all deaf, and he started training his friends, and basically they started a fishing club. So I thought that was a really positive outcome of that event, and we hope to continue doing that. This is sort of a personal story, how I got involved with Casting for Recovery. I'm a breast cancer survivor, and in 2010, I heard about this group called Casting for Recovery, and it's a national organization that provides therapeutic retreats for free for women who are recovering from breast cancer. So I registered and signed up, and I got in one. They're very competitive. They're hard to get into. And I went, and I was really thrilled to be there because when you're going through something like that, I think your treatment and your doctor's visits and your healing process kind of takes over your life. And so it was a nice way to step back and get back into an activity I loved, fly fishing. And I saw how they approached it with beginners, because a lot of the women that went to these retreats were going just to get away and have a women's weekend, but they became avid anglers by the end of the weekend. So I started volunteering to help Casting for Recovery, because the last day of the retreat, they actually go out on the water, and they need river helpers to help the women fly fish for the first time. So I volunteered and became part of their organization. And then through that organization, I learned about Chesapeake Women Anglers, because every woman who goes through a CFR retreat gets a free membership, which is a really good way to keep women learning about the activity, because a lot of people can't feel totally comfortable after just one lesson or one weekend, and they need sort of a team to come out or support to go fishing again. So this group's a great group for that purpose. And they are a DC metro area group, membership group, but they have members from 5 different states: Maryland, Virginia, DC, West Virginia, and I think Pennsylvania too. So we started partnering with them, and they come to the Aquatic Center every December to do their holiday party. And we give them a tour, and we'll do an activity or have a presenter, and then they'll do a fly exchange instead of a cookie exchange. Everybody has to bring 6 flies that they've either made or bought, and then they'll exchange them. So they're a really fun group, and if you're in the Mid-Atlantic region, I encourage you to work with them. They're eager to partner with others. So we have some mentors on our staff now. I mentioned Dylan and Brady Waters. This is Dylan here, and he did a great job when he first started this last 2 years. He's reactivated our records program, and we happen to have a 15-year-old record holder who, I think whether Dylan knows it or not, you're his mentor, because he kind of follows him around when he comes to our events like a little puppy. And it's really cool to see, and now that this young man is signed up to be a volunteer at our events this year, I'm hoping he will mentor other young anglers that come to our fishing events, because I think that's a really important kind of mentorship circle. And on the left, you see women that are members of the Washington Spirit soccer team that went to the championship this year. I don't know if you know that, but these are an amazing group of women that we asked if they would come to one of our fishing events last year. And this is a picture of them celebrating one person's catch there. And I'll tell you a little bit how that came to be. DOEE has an administration called the Sustainable DC, a program called the Sustainable DC, and it basically is trying to get community members involved in initiatives that support a green economy and green practices in daily life. And so Anna Hilferty is a soccer player that had a background in environmental sustainability. And so she reached out to the mayor's office, and the mayor connected her with DOEE, and she became our first Sustainable DC ambassador. And so what that meant was that she basically would go to events and bring a couple teammates, and they'd either do a soccer drill or they would help us, we give pollinator seed packet giveaways at events or tree planting events, but they would just pitch in and elevate the importance of taking care of the environment. So we decided after the last RBFF marketing workshop in Atlanta, Dylan and I were talking, and we said, how can we find out like an influencer in our area? Like, who could we contact to come to our events? And she came to mind. So we asked Anna if she would come to our fishing event, and she said, yeah, that sounds really fun. And we originally thought they would lead an activity, and we had plastic fish, backyard bass, you all are familiar with, everybody knows about backyard bass. So we thought they'd lead that activity and interact with the public there, and then we'd do the fishing. But after they did the backyard bass activity, the teammates said, well, we want to fish now. And so we brought them over to the dock, and they started fishing, and they didn't stop for 3 hours. They had a really friendly competition going on, and who's going to catch the first fish, and everybody was celebrated whenever they pulled up a big fish. So they ended up fishing there, and the public showed up because we got them there a little early. So when the public showed up, it was very nice because they just came in and started fishing next to the athletes, and some of the little kids had worn their jerseys, and there was a lot of idol worship going on. They were very, very cute, fishing next to their favorite players. So it was a very, very positive event, and we'd like to keep this program going. And it had some lasting impact. They did a sustainability night at one of their home games in Audi Field, and then I think DC United heard about it, and they did a sustainability night, and then the Washington Mystics heard about it, and they did a sustainability night. So what is a sustainability night? So what all the organizations we work with, they would come and table and share information about either river cleanups or tree plantings or pollinator meadow creation or fishing activities. So it offered an opportunity for both worlds to kind of collide in a nice way, and we'd share each other's knowledge and members. So Anna was also awarded a grant for her impact, or at least she was nominated. I'm not sure if she actually won, but I know she helped Friends of Anacostia Park, where the AREC is located, get a different grant for their programs together. And then she compiled a list of activities for all women's sports teams to integrate. So we're hoping to keep this program alive and continue. But as was stated earlier today, mentors and influencers don't have to be celebrities. They can be you and me, your staff, your colleagues, grandmothers, aunts. That's me and my niece at a two-fly fishing tournament in the Rose River in Virginia. And she had never fished before, but she wanted to come and support me to fundraise for Casting for Recovery. So she still talks about that today, even though she's 27. And she caught the first fish. She rubs it in every time I see her. Remember when I didn't know how to fish and I caught the first fish? And I'm like, yes. So, and then this other picture is a picture of my friend I invited to go to Montana with me, and she showed up with her 6-month-old baby, and we had the best fishing trip ever. And the baby, you can't see it in the picture, but she's smiling, and she was very good. And I'll close by just encouraging you to read the study in The Great Outdoors that I really related to when I read it. RBFF had passed that on to us in an email, and it really talked about the benefits of fishing. And this is for everyone, not just women, but it's beneficial to everyone for, peacefulness, mindfulness, patience, and perseverance. I think fishing is a very healthy activity, and this is kind of my mentor. I wanted to give a picture and a call out to Joan Wolfe, the grand dam of fly fishing, of women fly fishing. She was fly fishing before it became cool, and there's some cool pictures of her fishing if you Google her name. But I really loved this quote from the article, and it really kind of encapsulates what fishing with women is about. It's kind of about a team and being excited for everyone. I don't have to catch the most fish, but I'm very happy when I've gone out with friends and one of them catches their first fish. So I'll leave you with that. This is my contact information, and this is our AREC information. If you'd like to come fish with us, we'd love to do a program with you. You can come to our invasive tournament in Fishing and Boating Week in June 1st. That's going to be fun. We love collaborating. So thank you for your time.
Do you have any questions for either Lisa or Teresa? Well, one thing I wanted to make note of that I thought was really interesting is we've been talking about the sense of community and women needing more of a community to go fishing, but what I liked hearing was not just the women's groups taking more people out fishing, but your partnerships. One partnership led to another partnership to another partnership, and I found that really interesting and really helpful to kind of see that expand. So I was wondering if you could maybe speak more to kind of how you've established one of the partnerships to begin with. Either one. Sorry, it's awkward up here.
Well, I'll say, for years, I started out as a fisheries biologist doing field work. I worked a rivers and reservoir program. So when my boss retired, that program went away. They're like, what are we going to do with Letha? So I was just kind of hanging. And I felt the need that we needed there was an outdoor, the education team that was in a different unit, but they mostly did a lot of their focus on the Bay. I work in the western part of the state of Maryland, so I felt there was a need to do some more outreach and education. So I asked my boss, can I start doing this? So I started doing that probably 17 years ago. Fast forward to 2020. And they hired this new person during COVID, Chelsea. I'm going to call you out, Chelsea Kenworthy. And I had to reach out to her for I think it might have been the Envirothon. And at that time, she had a lot of people in that unit that retired or moved on. And so she was just kind of by herself. So I kind of felt bad for her. So from then, her and I really built this great relationship, and we partner and do things together. It's like, why is your team doing this? I'm doing this by myself. Let's work together. And now we have this group, the Outdoor Rec Group. We work with them. They come out to all of our Women on the Water events and partner. And I think a couple years ago when we started the R3 Matrix team, fisheries in our state does not have an R3 position, really. We have a nice marketing person that's been working on R3, and so we're hoping to have that, a top leader to get that going. So we did form a R3 matrix team, so we work together to make sure the parks, natural resource police, the education group, fisheries group, boating group, we all now work together. We know what each other's doing, and we can partner, because when you work together as a team, you get more done. So that's kind of how our partnering worked. And then Teresa and I met, well, it's been a while ago, but then we reconnected when our invasive species program manager and, well, old manager, now my boss, and then we met with them to do some work in Anacostia, so I'll let you talk about that.
Well, we were sort of thinking of doing an invasive tournament because we're catching a lot of blue catfish and a lot of, well, everybody wants to catch snakehead, but you have to be a pretty good angler to catch snakehead. So we didn't think that would work with the public. But seeing, you probably saw some of the pictures, we catch a lot of blue catfish. So when we were thinking of doing it, and then we heard that Maryland was going to do it, and they came and had a meeting, it just made sense for us all to do it together. The waterways, we're in a unique situation because we're small. You know, the waterways just run from each state. So the Chesapeake Bay watershed includes, 6 states? So we're happy to do programs. We've done more with Maryland than anybody else because the Anacostia is kind of bordered right near PG County, and we have similar programs, so it just makes sense. But some of our other partnerships, they kind of just evolved, you know, just by being open and going to events, and I've kind of tried to bring my personal interests into the job, and if I meet somebody at an art workshop, I'll say, can you make a fish out of that? And they'll be like, what? And I'm like, well, if you can, then I can have you come and you could teach that as part of our education program. And this was a woman I just recently met at a fiber workshop. She was doing macrame, and I'm like, I think the families would love to make a macrame fish. And she was like, okay, I'll come. So doing that and doing trying to be creative and seeing what you all are doing. Whenever I go to the area conference, I really learn a lot, and I steal a lot of ideas and bring them home, and that's the highest compliment, trying to replicate what someone else has done and as successful, because we really can't do a lot by ourselves because we have a very small staff and a very limited budget, but with our partners, we can really do a whole lot more. So.
Is there a question in the back there?
Hello. I just had a super quick question. I know you guys were speaking quite a bit about a few of the events actually selling out almost within minutes. So kind of just really wanted to get perspective as to if there's particular channels, whether that's email, user-generated content, newsletters, kind of what seems to work the best for you guys as far as vocalization and getting activations as quick as you are, or signups for those events.
So we have an Office of Communications that tells us how we're supposed to advertise our events, and we have to use Eventbrite, for example, because we don't have a CRM, but we do gather names. So any family that comes to our fishing event or, you know, the family discovery program I shared, we'll ask them, can we have your email? Would you like to hear about the next program? And like in the fall, we had a River Monsters Halloween event, and we had a great number of people. It wasn't like 165 or something. And then we asked them, can we email you? Because we don't want to send people emails if they don't want them. And so we recently used their names for our next event. Well, it was our last event, so we did Aquatic Amore, and we did it was like Valentine's kind of, and talked about how fish reproduce in a very clean, fun, child-centric manner. It was quite the event, and we had a great turnout. But we do have a problem with, and I've heard other people say this here, people signing up and not showing up. we have about a 50% show-up rate. So we expand our list to account for that, because we want, if we're going to put a lot of time and effort into this, we want to get a certain number of people. We have goals. We set goals for each activity and try to say, well, we want to get 30, so let's do 60. And we haven't had all 60 show up ever. I'm sure it might happen one day, but yeah, we're kind of gambling.
Yeah, ours is similar, but it's based on whichever event that we're doing. Our wildlife person does the sign up for the WEDO events, and that she leaves open for like a week, and she does a lottery system. We talked about doing that for our BOW, but we figured that we're just gonna kind of, for this year, we're gonna keep it like we did, open it on a particular day at a particular time, but just let everybody know, hey, this fills up really fast. Over the years, we've been doing, we get about 50, like maybe 55% return, maybe, 45% new. So it is, we're still getting some new individuals. With the other events, we do the same thing. We open it for more than we can take, knowing that because they are free, you're going to have a lot of no-shows. But those are done through Eventbrite. But the other ones are through our own registration.
That's all the time we have for questions, but I know they will be around the rest of today and tomorrow to answer any questions you may have. So at 2:20, sorry, thank you. We have just a few minutes to switch to the next session. In this room, you'll hear increasing efficiency with AI and automations. If you go back to the general session room, you will hear Michael Sellers present Georgia's Gateway to Fishing program. So we'll just get started in here in a few minutes. Thanks.